So thank you so much for being all here with me and this Sunday with music and meditation for all of you, and also for all of you that are also watching me live. And it's an honor for me to be sharing this well-being time music and meditation speech show where I started singing and composing after I started diving inside of myself when I started meditating. And it was after a very big rupture in my life where I had the death of my grandfather, and then after 2 years my mom died, and then after 3 years I decided to get divorced of an 8-year marriage. And I was really in that space inside of myself where I lost that inner structure without knowing where I would belong, without that structure of my family, without having my marriage anymore as that base for my foundation. And I needed to rescue that foundation, not from the outside, as I have been taught my whole life. And suddenly I needed to find this inner foundation inside of myself. I gave this big jump in the unknown, and it was one of the best decisions of my life. It was tough, it was hard to go to the world by myself, but with the time and by being alone, I could figure out that I was never lonely. And as more as I could dive inside of myself and discover myself again, understanding who am I, what am I doing here, what is my mission in this life, it was when real life started for me. Because before that, I was just a subproduct of society. I was living just according with that negative human projections that were also there in the subconscious of my mind, as at the same time I also always had my spiritual matrix all the time running there in the back of my spiritual mind. And all of us have that. All of us. So there is only 2 states that we are living here in this world. There is all the state of suffering and pain and lack of love, lack of money, lack of health, lack of well-being, lack of so many other things that can cause so much pain. And when we are living through this perspective without knowing, and those who are already awakened and have this understanding and this consciousness about awakening and enlightening again, we start understanding that that negative programming that we are repeating without knowing, in an unconscious way, on autopilot, living constantly with a mind most of the time in the past, or so worried about the future, with so much fear of the unknown, with so much fear all the time, living in the survival mode. And then the other way of living this reality is living through a beautiful state. And this beautiful state is when we really can be living this life through the steps of our soul. And all of us have that part inside of us. You have there, very in the deep inside of you. And I have here as well. In this area here, when you put our hands here in our heart and say, that's me. So your real you, it's here, inside of yourself. But where? Since you grow up, since we grow up, where did we really learn to look here and to dive into inside of ourselves? We were all the time just learning to be here, right? On the outside, all the time. And that's why it's so difficult as well. We make this diving because we are just afraid of the unknown. Our soul actually will never validate it. The voice of our soul will never validate it. Actually, most of us as kids were actually castrated. And judged or criticized. And at some point, we lost that connection with our soul. So do you remember, like, every time we see a child, every time we see a kid, a baby born, it's impossible to not get in love. It's so much joy, it's so much love that is contagious. That is our natural state. That's our human nature. Because that's the purity of our spiritual being. That's who we are in the essence. And then at some stage, each one of us, while we were a kid, we had something that happened that was a big trauma to our inner child. It was like a rupture. In that moment, it was like our child had a broken heart. And it's like in that moment, that child created so many beliefs, negative beliefs about herself, about himself. And in that moment, the heart of that child was completely devastated, feeling rejected, humiliated, abandoned, castrated. And that child in that moment lost the trust with herself, with himself, the trust with the people that she was believing or used to believe in. Trust. She lost the trust with herself. Because if she would know or feel, or if she would have listening herself or the energy, already knowing that something was not right. And this child also lost the trust with the source energy, God, the universe, or whatever the name that you want to give to this source energy that created the stars, the oceans, the rivers, the forest, and each one of us. So in the moments that we are also disconnected from the source energy, we get completely separated from the energy that is maintaining us here, and all the things, living things that we see in this world. So, if you are still living or attracting situations that is causing you pain, whatever one of these 4 areas are lacking in your life, like money and time freedom, or love and relationships, or health and well-being, or life's purpose and spirituality. So which is the area of your life now that is causing you pain? So if you are living that projections of that story, of that situation, if it's a love story, if it's money problem, or if it's health problem, well-being, or if you don't know what you are doing here in this world, or you know that you have a gift but you don't know how to express yourself, you know, every time that you are struggling, there is something that you need to take a look. And instead of being blaming others and or situations because of the circumstances that you are living, the case will be, instead of be judging and pointing to others and blaming others and situations, we would point the fingers to ourselves, to look inside of us. What is the message that my hurt child is still showing to me that I need to heal? In the moment that we really create 110% of responsibility of everything that is happening in our lives, if it's good and if it's bad, it's our responsibility. And if it's good, that's amazing. Keep doing what you are doing and keep increasing all the greatness, all the miracles that you are. But if there is still pain and lack in some area of your life, then is the time that you need to come with me for us to flip chat. That's the game of life that I explain. That's the name of my third book. The first one is Thank You for Everything. It's already there at Amazon. To the whole world, is in English, and it's a 365-day journal book where you can practice gratitude every day before you go to sleep, writing your 3 TBT, that is your 3 best things for you to remember of your day. And it's an amazing way for you to be increasing your vibration, because gratitude, you practice that you already have what you want. And as more as you practice this vibration, you're already grateful because you already have everything. And that's as well what I explain in my second book that calls Wellbeing Time. And that's why I call this Wellbeing Time Music and Meditation Speech Show, because it's also about what I explain in my second book, that is a guide to bring meditation and the art of manifestation to our lives. And that's what I have been studying. Since then, I really started all this process of self-knowledge in my life in 2008. And then in 2010, I really decided to get divorced because that life, that energy was not me. I needed to find myself and listen the voice of my soul, that it was talking out loud inside of my chest and saying to me, you are here for something greater. It was bigger than me. And it was by overcoming my fears, that little by little I started discovering who I am, what am I doing here, what are my gifts in this world. And it was in that same year that I get divorced. It was the first time in my life that I was really sleeping alone for the first time. And I remember that at some stage, I think it was the first or the second night that I was sleeping there alone by myself. I woke up, I was sleeping, and I woke up in the middle of the night with a panic syndrome, a panic attack I couldn't breathe. I was like, wow, I already knew that it was a panic attack because I had some 2 before the time that I was married yet, and the time that my mom was about to die. I was completely with so much anxiety and fear inside of myself, without knowing how my life would be without my mom being there close to me. And in the time that I had my first panic attack, I remember that I went to the hospital, to the emergency room, and I arrived there, and the doctor saw me, and I was like, I was going to die, I was going to have a heart attack couldn't breathe properly, thinking that I was going to faint or something like that. And then after some minutes, the doctor came to me, and then he said, "Look, you are good to go. You don't have anything. You just have having emotional issues. And what I do, I recommend you to go to a psychiatrist." I said, I didn't say anything, but I thought with myself, sorry, excuse me? Like, is this guy telling me to go to a psychiatrist? And that was the norm, right? I arrived at home and I said to my family at the time, said to my ex-husband, and everybody said, yes, the doctor said that's what you do. You go to the psychiatrist. And I said, okay, and then I arrived there. The psychiatrist looked at me and he said, oh, what you have? I said, yeah, I had a panic attack and feeling anxious, and then he just made a prescription of a Prozac, that is an antidepressant. He didn't ask me about anything, what was causing that, what I was going through. And I remember again, and I arrived at home, and people, my family, friends, my ex-husband, everybody asked, so what was the outcome? Oh yeah, he gave me an antidepressant. Oh, okay. So if the doctor said, right, you follow the norm. And inside of my heart, I never wanted to follow the norm, because the norm for me was never normal. It was against my own my own self, was against my own self. And then in that night, I remember that I drank that medicine, and in the next morning, I woke up and I threw it in the bin. And I said, I don't need that. And I know that this is escape. It's not focusing in the healing that I need to stop having this excess of anxiety. So it was exactly that. In that time, in the same week, I started my first meditation class. That's where through my intuition guided me. It was an amazing friend that I have in Brazil, Simone Malheiros. If you're there, my gorgeous spiritual friend. And we are soul sisters. It's incredible how we connected each other since the first time we saw each other. And yes, so all of these amazing things that I started discovering and bringing to my reality. And suddenly what happened is that during that first year that I got divorced. So yeah, I will just finish the panic syndrome story. So it was then when I started meditation, and then I had another day like going to a tunnel. I remember I was still living in Brazil, and then I was like, had that claustrophobia to be inside of a tunnel with lots of cars and traffic. And then it happened again when I woke up for the first time in the middle of the night, when I was sleeping alone for the first time. So it's incredible how we really are not grown up with the skills of having emotional and mental health. It's incredible. Then suddenly we are really alone there in the world, and I was freaking out, and I really didn't know how I would take care of myself by myself. But I just have this certainty at the same time inside of myself. It was like having Oprah Winfrey inside of myself saying, you are here for something greater, girl. You know, every time when I used to see her and mirror her as my example of the soul, the person that I'm here to be in this world, right? And I also used to listen the voice of Michael Jackson singing, "You are not alone, I am here with you." You know, I am here with you. It's just like, it was all the time, it was really like people that I had like so much trust in their soul because of the gifts that they were bringing to the world. And little by little, I also started in that silence and in that opportunity to be living just by myself. I started diving more and more inside of myself and listening the voice of my soul. And in that first year, I entered for my first 1 year of graduation in yoga and meditation and mindfulness with my amazing spiritual master, Marco Schultz from Brazil. Marco, my dear, meu querido, muito obrigada. Namastê, irmão. You know, I learned with so many amazing people in these last 12 years, 15 years of my life, with amazing spiritual teachers, amazing humanitarian leaders like Shri Ravi Shankar. My life, since I decided to follow the steps of my soul, it becomes greatness after greatness, greatness after greatness. And it was real, like, yes, you are here for something greater. and for sure, and you are here as well for something greater than just that limited life of suffering that we are living through a lens of a hurt child, or from a programming that we learned from our conception until when we were around 12 years old. All the beliefs that we created and we copied about love, money, sex, relationships, finances, religion, culture, everything. About being successful, about being poor, everything, all the beliefs that we created. And most of them, the beliefs of other people. And most of them were not having the desirable life that we really wanted. And for those more fortunate that had everything, even though at some stage that hurt child would have that feeling of feeling rejected, abandoned, neglected. Even knowing that parents were doing everything, working to give everything for that child, at that stage, from that point of view that the child really need all the attention, at some stage that child will have this pain of feeling rejected, abandoned, and being neglected. So that's the story. We will need here at some stage to learn how to flip chat. That is the name of my third book. That I'm so excited to talk about it. And I call Flip Chat the Game of Life. And I found a way, a very nice and fun and easy way to explain how we really can reprogram our subconscious mind. And I bring 3 stages in this book. That is, we need to heal our inner child, to rescue our inner child. We need then to reprogram our subconscious mind and flip. That's when we're going to flip chat to reprogram and go from our negative human matrix to back to our spiritual matrix. And that's when we make the flip chat from dark side to light side again. And then I always tell to all of you and everyone here to imagine that you are a puzzle here in front of your body, and everything is flipped in dark. Some people already flipped a lot to the light side, and some people are already even enlightened, right? So it's incredible for us to have this consciousness that we are here all to be awakened again, to be enlightened again. And that's the game of life. That's the summary. We are all here then to heal, to reprogram our subconscious mind. It's when we're going to get out of this negative human matrix, where we're going to see life through the lens of a hurt child. that is the director of Hollywood Studios. And she is amazing in doing just drama and tragedies and horror movies. And we are here to flip, to be again I call the, in my flip chat book, is One Verse Studios. It's not Universal Studios, but it's One Verse Studios. Because then it's from when we're going to be living our lives through the lens of our super soul, through the lens of our spiritual being. And then life, guys, I guarantee each one of you, that life becomes a miracle. And when it's true, when I listen that voice, you're here for something greater, and I have been living a life of greatness since then, it's so true. So in that first year that I completed, that year of meditation and yoga with my master Marco Schultz in Brazil, he still do lots of satsangs, lots of speech shows like I'm doing now, but with lots of mantras that he also composed, and some mantras in Sanskrit as well. What is very normal when we go to retreats and we have the gurus and we have lots of singing, lots of mantras, and then after singing a lot, and most of the mantras in Sanskrit, we then go to meditation, because it helps us to quiet the mind and to bring our minds from beta brain waves, that is like active and doing lots of things, to alpha brain waves, that is a little bit slower, where you're going to start feeling more relaxed, until you achieve theta brain waves. And this is so important, because when we are in theta brain waves, we are again in hypnotic mode. That is the same way that we were when we were from our conception until our 12 years old. We were in hypnotic mode all the time, just copying and recording like a video camera, everything and everyone. Instead, one important thing, that is ourselves, right? And that's why it's so important we make all this process, reprogramming our subconscious mind and remembering who we truly are. Because in the moment that we rescue here who we truly are, it's a completely new world. It is a completely new life, because it's a life living through the lens of your spiritual being, of your super soul. And for that, I explain in my book, Flip Chat, The Game of Life, that we're gonna need to dive from here, from our minds to our hearts. And then we're gonna need to rescue our hurt child, because she's the one who has the 7 keys that is locking your 7 chakras. And we're gonna need to unlock all these 7 floors for you to go back to the potentiality of energy that you are in this world. As we are living a human life, living more like zombies, the way that we are structured to live, with our souls still buried inside of ourselves, little by little, we're gonna be going back to our natural state, that is being more energy than math. And we're gonna start removing this density from your body. And as more as we meditate, and as more as we practice yoga, as more as we breathe, making pranayama exercises, more and more, we clean our inner house. We clean our 7 chakras that I will use, that are locked. I would like to make this connotation because it's easy to understand. I say that the 7 keys that our heart child is locking, our 7 portals here, is the 7 sins. So the 7 areas that you are using as distraction to keep intoxicating you even more, or keeping distracting you even more, keeping you busy all the time in the outside without really being here in the inside. And if your child, your hurt child, that is the one creating all the realities, if you are living from dramas and tragedies and being the victim most of the time, victim of the system or situation or relationship, or the money, the lack of money, the lack of health, whatever is the issue from the outside, is the time to go back to the inside of yourself and see what is the pain. And that's why as well, your hurt child, she is also a system of protection. And she is the one who has like this, how can I tell you, she has this power somehow to be activating our nervous system, to be living in survival mode all the time. Because when we are living through the lens of our hurt child, the world is too scary. People can get scary. In those situations, because the amygdala, that is the fear center, is all the time activated. Living through the lens of a hurt child is still living through the lens of being survival mode all the time. And this is too painful. It's too painful to be with the stress hormones in our body all the time, with too much adrenaline and cortisol, giving us so much pain in the body, and muscle pain, neck pain, the stomach that can be extremely contracted, and constipation, so many things that makes you feel with so much anguish without sleeping properly all the time, with this anxiety and depression. It's horrible to be living in burnout. All of us know how it's to be in this state. And at the same time, all of us also know how it's to be in our beautiful state. And we want to be there. The thing is that, as Dr. Joe Dispenza tells, the most difficult thing is to stop getting addicted to stress. So all of us know what we need to do to stop the suffering and to feeling sometimes unhealthy without the well-being that we need. But the pressure is so big and so huge that we are managing the way we can, right? But at the same time, in the other side, as more as we practice well-being practices, at the same time when we flip from dark side to light side, if today you are more on the dark side, living your life through the lens of your hurt child, it's the time to stop that. But your body is addicted to stress. In the moment that you flip and you start flipping to the dark side and light side, reprogramming your subconscious mind more and more, then you're going to start getting addicted to well-being. And that's the most amazing thing. You start getting addicted to well-being. So instead of living from 90% of stress and 10% of well-being, you're going to be living from 90% of well-being and then 10% of stress that you can manage very easily. So how amazing is that? Do you really would like to flip chart with me? Because that's my invitation for each one of you. And I created this method that is an RTS, it's a rapid transformative system that each one of you can learn how to go back to your best, like that, in the velocity of the light. and you can save years of your life because I already figured out everything. You can save years of your life. You can save money without needing to go to so many retreats and study here and there, with this guru here, with that guru there, with that coach there. That's what I have been doing this last 15 years of my life. Wow, it's just incredible. I remember that I did something. That's when really I was starting and discovering how the law of attraction works, how I could build the life that I love, and that was the phrase that made my life to change. It was the friend of my mom, that she is the director of the Hoffman Institute in Brazil, the Hoffman process. Oh my goodness, she is adorable. She was my first coach and my best coach ever, and she was the best friend of my mom. Since my mom was 9 years old, since I was 9 years old, so she knows me since I was very little, and I had a lot of trust in this woman. And it was when all my life really started, and when I made my first self-development course, that it was the Hoffman process. So, thank you so much, Heloísa. I love you so much. Eu te amo tanto, minha querida amada. Because of people like her, so many coaches that I had in my life for me to arrive where I am today inside of myself. And I also had the honor to be with Shri Shri Ravi Shankar from the Art of Living. I was volunteer with them, I still volunteer all the time, talk about the Art of Living. And I was part of the band of Shri Shri Ravi Shankar for many years. And it's so amazing, when I was with Shri Shri Ravi Shankar, I could understand the sense that we all are a big family. And it was when I was there with Shri Shri Ravi Shankar and all that community of volunteers from the Art of Living and the amazing teachers and everyone there. That's just incredible. I also had the opportunity to be in 2015 with Shri Shri Ravi Shankar in his ashram as well in Germany, in Bad Antofagast. And I also could make an interview with him. It's like my life is just as I told you, it's greatness after greatness. When we are open to be following our soul, we are just guided, even without knowing what it was supposed for me to be doing. And I just kept following. I said, okay, I'm supposed to write, I will write. It's supposed to sing, I will sing. It's supposed to dance, I will dance. It was just accepting everything that life was bringing to me, and I was literally following the voice of my soul. And then in that first year, I didn't tell that yet, right? Sorry guys, that sometimes I go with this back and forth, but I will get there to make you understand everything. So in that first year when I got divorced, I finished all these amazing things with my yoga and meditation thing. And in the time, I was so in love with all the mantras and singing with my friends there, that we were all graduating together in yoga meditation with Marco Schultz. So in that time, I had inside of me my voice saying inside of me, I wanted to learn how to play harmonium. I wanted to be able to be playing that Indian instrument, like I used to see my master playing. I wanted as well to start playing guitar. So then I was like, everybody, oh my God, you are crazy. And I spent like 1,500 just to pay, like 500,000 just like buying two amazing musical instruments. And that hooked me. I was so in love, and I was there alone in that apartment that I was renting in the 18th floor, where I could see like the city of São Paulo, and I was feeling the top of the world, and I was singing for the whole world. I was like healing the whole city. My whole heart was like just overflowing all the time in unconditional love. And from that 3 songs that I learned, that was Rogério, that was the producer of Marco Schultz, my spiritual master. He used to produce his songs, his albums. He was my teacher. And from that 3 songs that he taught me, with all that accords that I learned, I started composing songs. I started composing music. My days and nights started composing and singing and making music and writing as well. There was one day that I heard this voice talking with me and saying, music in the paper is not music. You need to produce it. And I really was like that. Okay, let's do it then. I need the money. How are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? So we need the money. And in the end, I remember that I made a test with my producer. And I said to him, look, let's make one song. And if I like it, and if you understand my message, my voice, and how I want to bring the music to the world, then let's make an album. I want to record it. And in the end of the day, guys, I recorded 12 songs. It was my first album in Portuguese. And it was really like I was bringing all the gifts of my soul to the world. And it made me remember that when I was a little child, when I was 5 years old, it was when my heart really was broken. When I saw my father arriving one day at home, where I was around 5 years old, and he didn't have hair anymore. He was completely very skinny, and he had a bandage, a white bandage in his head. And I was in shock. I wanted to know where my father was, because he was not there anymore. And after a while, I discovered that he was having epilepsy, and the doctors discovered that he had a brain cancer. And for 10 years of my life and our lives, I can say, for my family, it was tough. We had an amazing structure, foundation. My father, I can say, it was wealth. We were living a wealthy life. And then suddenly, with all that rupture, my father started falling apart, and our family started falling apart. And we started then experiencing the lack, the separation. And even though, oh my goodness, even though that we were living more like, as the frozen heart syndrome, with everybody just suffering by ourselves in silence. And that's what normally most of the time would happen with the kids. I was that kind of kid that would implode and would freeze. So that's how I used to feel. I would bring all that inside of myself and to implode at some point. And that's where I was going to have panic syndrome, because I'm with so much excess of adrenaline in my body, because I'm all the time in survival mode, right? And then other people would have fight as a way of coping with the stress, and other people will run away, right? And these all meaning that we are all in survival mode when we are in these states. And then that's what happened at home. We started living from that beautiful state where everybody were living through the eyes of their souls and with that beautiful unconditional love, to suddenly we all be living in a home that we enter all in survival mode. And that was so painful. So in that period, it was like 10 years, from the 5 years old until 15, 16. It was I felt so disconnected and ashamed as well, because we also had lost our social status in that time. And I remember that one day I was around 15 or 16 years old, and I heard my father crying for the first time in my life. He was crying in the living room, and he was listening classical music. And I remember that I opened the door and I said, "Father, what's going on?" And he looked at me and he was crying, and he said, he took in my hands and he said, I don't know how it's to feel anymore. Since I made my surgery, I don't know how to feel and to be myself anymore. But when I listen to classical music or to some musics, I am back in my soul. I'm back in myself. Wow, in that moment for me, was like activated all the super powers of my superhero here inside of myself. It was like, wow, my father is still here. My father is still there inside of himself, and I want him back. So in the time that I was also creating and composing and discovering myself, I was also rescuing my relationship with my father, little by little, and sharing with him, "Father, how do you feel about this song? Does it touch your heart? Does it make you go back to your soul?" It was like in the deep I wanted to sing and to compose all that songs, to have my father alive again inside of himself. Because I always loved that man so much that I wanted my superhero back. And we had a very bad time when he was still living in so much survival. And this was one of the things that made me become the woman I am today. Because I wanted to understand about human behavior. I wanted to understand about neuroscience. I wanted to understand about vibrational medicine and quantum physics. I wanted to understand what we are all doing here. And I could never ever in my life to believe that the source energy created us to suffer. I just had inside of myself that must have a way out. Because I can see people in the world that are doing great and amazing and are living an amazing life. They are enlightened. And that's when all this process started. And I remember that meditation was the medication that I found for my life. And when I gave one week retreat for the first time for my father, because I said to myself, if this is healing me and bringing me back to my natural joy, this will also heal my father. And it was, bam, like Shazam. It was bingo. It worked. After 1 week, when I took my father back from that meditation retreat that I left him in that amazing place in Brazil, in São Paulo, called Nazaré Uniluz. Thank you so much for that amazing souls that take care of that place with so much love. And for you that are in Brazil, go there and visit Nazaré Uniluz. Oh my goodness, I remember to see my father when I picked him after that retreat. He was pure light again. He was completely in his soul again, making jokes. He was not that grumpy, frustrated, angry man anymore. He was back in his joyful, fun, spiritual way that he always used to be with us. And then, since then, we started meditating together. I remember that in that same year, we passed together New Year's Eve in that same center, meditating together. And we started making yoga together and singing mantras together. And that's how I rescued my family inside of me, never ever giving up of the people that I love the most in this life. Ever. In the time that we had these problems of relationship with my father, I remember when my mom died, my uncle, he asked if my brother and I would like to live with him. And thank you so much, Tia Luiz, meu querido amado. You know, because our relationship was really not good at all. We were all the time in the survival mode, fighting with each other. And in that time I said to my uncle, and I said, no, thank you. And I appreciate so much your help and your support, but we have a family. And are you going to rescue my father? We're going to rescue our family. And even now that my mom passed away, we have a family. That is my father, my brother, and I. And we're going to rescue this between each other. Instead of abandon my father, just because he is in survival mode. So I needed to understand, and that's why I'm so passionate about my life and everything that I have been doing. And all the masters that I had the chance to be studying, Dr. Joy Dispenza, Shri Shri Ravi Shankar, Dr. Amit Goswami, Dr. Masaru Emoto, Eloisa Capelas, Tony Robbins, Marco Schultz, Deepak Chopra, so many of you, Vishen Lakhiani, so many of you, Marisa Peer. Thank you so much, and so many people that have been inspiring me to be the woman that I am today, like Taylor Swift, Michael Jackson, Britney Spears, you know, so many people that are so brave in just being who they really are. And I understand that each one of us have a gift, and we need to remember what is the gift that we were here to bring to this world. And that's what I discovered in that first year. I didn't know what to do with that songs. And I asked God, what do I do with the songs? What is supposed for me to be doing in this world? And at the end of this year, I created my first emotional and mental health method that calls Habits for Happiness. And that was the first time in my life. It was a book with 12 songs, 12 self-regulation tools that I was teaching people, and 12 affirmations. I was teaching in companies, I was teaching in schools, in non-profit organizations, in classes, in places for events. And I just started sharing my message around 6 years. And after that, I moved to Jericoacoara in Brazil. And after living there for 5 years, learning how to kite surfing and discovering even more the gifts of my soul, it was when I decided to move and to come abroad, because my voice, my soul wanted to express everything that I have been sharing now with you in English. It needed to be in a universal language. So this awakening, this collective healing, this collective awakening and enlightening of the world could be processed in the velocity of the light. Because we are here now, from now on, to be living in the golden era. To be living through the lens of our super soul. And I never stopped composing songs. since 2011, 2010. I just compose music after music. The first one, as I said, it was a healing song for me to heal my heart from the death of my mom. And this song calls Universal Love. I promised my mom, I made a promise to her in that music, in that song, that I would live my life with all that love that she taught me. Unconditional love. And one day I will be sharing with all of you. Today I will finish singing a mantra that I composed in the time that I was part of the band of Shri Shri Ravi Shankar. I composed these mantras of love because I understood that if I'm here to bring this message in an universal way, I will use the technique of a mantra, of repetition, to help us to calm our mind down. But instead of singing Sanskrit that we can understand, just who understands Sanskrit, I will compose them in English. And it was not something that I imagined in doing it. It just came to me like giving birth all the time to the songs. And if I take my guitar or if I don't take my guitar, I can make one song or more per day, every day. My soul just naturally sings. That's how she loves to express herself. And then I have these mantras of love. And that's my invitation when I make these live shows with music and meditation. We're going to be singing a little bit in the beginning. And I really want each one of you to learn how to play my songs, because I'm not a musician, right? And each one of you can learn how to play, because my songs are super simple, super easy. And then all of us can be singing and playing together. And all of you coming here with me physically or being online with me. I will start making this 5-day challenge. It's a 5-day collective healing challenge where you're going to be able to participate with me via Zoom. And you also can come with your guitar or with your musical instrument or just with your voice. And you all can become my band. We're all going to play together. So this is what I have been doing in this life since I was brave enough to listen to the voice of my soul that was telling to me, you are here for something greater. And definitely I am. And I can tell that you are here as well for something greater. You all are here for something greater. And it's time to go back deep, to dive inside of yourself. Because meditation, it is the medication that we need to go back to our best. To get out of stress, of survival mode, of this negative human programming, to heal our hearts, to rescue our hurt child, to be living and thriving in this life with the gifts of our soul. I really want to invite all of you, each one of you, for us to be living this movement. Living in this movement of awakening and enlightening the whole world again. And in this my process of discovering and remembering, I also became a Diksha giver. Thank you so much for Amma and Bhagavan. To bring to this world this awakening energy. And now I have the honor as well to be transferring the Diksha to each one of you. This awakening energy through my voice and through my songs. For us to be enlightening the whole world together. In this 5-day challenge that I make, I will be inviting each one of us for us to be also activating the Kundalini Diksha. We're going to be unleashing the 7 chakras for you to be back in your full power And we're going to be unleashing the first chakra, unleashing the superpowers with lots of breathing exercise and meditation. All the secrets I will be revealing for you. So be aware of when my first 5-day challenge will be happening, because this collective healing will be happening to the whole world, and you, it's a must. You want to be part of it. The whole world will be part of it. So let's sing together. This song calls I Belong to You. And it's very, very easy. It's just Ré, Sol, e Lá. Okay? It's just for you to remember who we are. I am love. You are love. We are love. I am love. You are love. We are love. And the whole world, the whole world, the whole world is love, is love, is love. I belong to you, and you belong to me, and the whole world, the whole world, the whole world belong to us, 'cause I am love, you are love, we are love. I am love, you are love, we are love. And the whole world, the whole world, the whole world is love, Chris love, Chris love. I belong to you, and you belong to me, and the whole world, the whole world, the whole world belong to us. 'Cause I am love, you are love, we are love. And the whole world, the whole world, the whole world, the whole world is love. Just absorb all this energy into your heart. Put your hands in your heart chakra. Take a deep breath and tell to yourself, I am unconditional love. And at this moment, bring your hands like this and bring this unconditional love to yourself. and also offer this unconditional love that now overflows from your heart to all your friends, your family, and to the whole world. Thank you so much for being with me. Together we can heal the world with your heart and my heart. I'm releasing my first album in English to the whole world soon. The first song is already there, it's XOXOXO. Soon we're gonna be sending hugs and kisses to the whole world. I will be teaching the choreography of this song soon. And the name of my first album is You Have a Voice. You have a voice, and I want to hear the voice of your soul. You have a gift that only you have to bring in this world, and your mission is to share it with each one of us. I want to say thank you so much for Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio was the man who activated all the belief that I needed to have in myself, because he believed in me. He was really the first person in this world that looked at me and he said, I want to listen your songs. And it gave me so much validation. It gave me so much like, wow, someone in this world wants to hear the voice of my soul. And because Ray is so just connected in his soul, and he meditates for more than 40 years, and that's how we had our amazing conversation about meditation and how he listened my story and he could wanting to know more. And my second book, Wellbeing Time, I dedicate to Ray Dalio and to my father, Jorge Luiz Atiki. So just for all of you to know, my name is Cristiane Silveira Atiki. And I'm so proud to be who I am. I'm so proud of my family, of all my ancestors, my mom, everyone, my brother. My goodness, I love you so much. My little Ellie, my father. Te amo, pai. Beijo no seu coração. So that's what I want you to understand. That is my dedication for these people that are helping me to bring my voice to the world in believing in myself. And I'm here to say that I also believe in each one of you. I believe in you. And I also want to see and to hear the gifts of your soul. Thank you so much for being with me. I already have my wellbeingtime.com. My website is already everything there. Everything that I will be teaching inside of my book, Wellbeing Time, is already there. Is a manual for you to learn how to meditate and to manifest the biggest dreams of your life. I will teach you about my vibrational medicine for you to learn how to become the vibration of your dreams and how to give the quantum leap of energy that you need to manifest your biggest dreams. So be with me. Thank you so much. And I see you in the next music and meditation, collective healing. Namaste. Muito obrigada, gratidão. Thank you so much. Bula. Dankchen. Merci beaucoup. Muito obrigada, gente. Amo vocês. Um beijo enorme no coração.